The more I played Trails of Cold Steel 4, the more I remembered that Trails is so good at being a JRPG. It's full of intricate story, a cast that spans many games and plot points, a turn-based battle system that has plenty of mechanics to play with, alongside all the bonds and quests that enrich the world to be as deep as anyone could want it to be. It also has the big runtime JRPGs are known for, but what I love about Trails is there are always big moments in the game that makes every hour put into it feel meaningful. And Cold Steel 4, as the last chapter of the Erebonian arc, is no different, with it doing a good job of tying up as many loose ends as possible, and if you put the time in, the game has all the story to make it worth it. It's a true celebration and conclusion to the Cold Steel arc that has solidified my want to learn more about the series thanks to how invested I got into this world once again. And for fans who has stuck with the series through every game, or ones like myself who jumped in from the last one, the story is an exciting conclusion for the world of Trails so far that is well worth the wait. Continuing right where Trails of Cold Steel 3 leaves off, Cold Steel 4 begins in the same Erebonia but with a new feeling, with the Empire's citizens in a state of unrest after some of 3's big events, and Class 7 also feeling unsettled due to the fact one of their key members is missing and likely in danger, all while processing the events of Lost Game and how it's affecting the world. It wouldn't be much of a game if everyone kept their heads down though, and with the feisty new members of Class 7 to bring spirits up, it's up to old and new Class 7 to do their best and carry on together. From there, the much bigger group sets out to bring back allies, settle scores, and to fight back against the sinister plans that threaten the world as they know it. And if you know the series, expect to see characters from all parts making an appearance in this entry of the series that grabs every thread it can to create a true conclusion to the story so far. As someone who got into the series from Trails of Cold Steel 3, I was worried I would find myself lost during parts of this experience, considering it's the final part of not only the Cold Steel portion of Trails that I haven't played all of, but also the fact it concludes the overall Trails universe up until this point, which becomes evident at the beginning where characters from the very first Trails game appear shortly after this entry's opening moments. I'm glad to say I ended up feeling okay during my playthrough thanks to my knowledge from 3 and everything I read in the backstory pot last time though, and actually feel once again motivated to go back into the series after seeing the way everyone contributed in this story and what many of their relationships have blossomed into in this entry. There are naturally plenty of things I've missed too, so I think those who have at least played 3 like I have shouldn't have any real problems enjoying the story of this 4th entry, and from my experience in Tears in its final chapter, I'm sure the experience is only more intense the more games you've played from the series. As expected, 88 hours of mostly story content makes for a long JRPG experience that does on occasion feel like it's really taking its time to get into its bigger events, but Cold Steel 4 yet again impressed me with the payoff I felt by the end of things, how all the little moments in between managed to add up to really pack a punch in its final chapters, how it makes bonding with characters feel meaningful, and how the game yet again managed to move me with its ending, so much so that the controller didn't leave my hand when I finished, as I knew I had to see its true ending. The fulfilling end made every single hour of its story, even small conversations and social events, feel worth it, and it's with this feeling I want to stress this final entry of the series makes it one hell of a story that must be played if fans haven't finished it already, thanks to how well it ties everything together to create another impactful journey. In terms of story, Trails of Cold Steel 4 is divided into multiple arcs, and in terms of gameplay, each arc has more of Trails' features become playable, many of which that have been featured in previous games such as the last one that make it easy to pick up and enjoy, especially in their final forms for this finale. The first of these we see is the combat system, which features all the arts, crafts, orders, and link attacks you could ever hope for, with the addition of a slightly bigger amount of brave points this time round that makes it easy to balance keeping points for orders and keeping them for group attacks, and this is just one of the tweaks to this Trails system that makes it the best version we've seen of it so far. I don't want to spoil every single new aspect of the system, as there are some cool surprises towards the end, but stuff you'll find earlier in the game is the amount of characters that rotate in and out, and it's astounding the amount of characters that are made playable both in regular battles and the exciting mech ones that make it fun to see how different combinations work together, along with seeing all their flashy S-crafts. Also exciting are the AP conditions for battles this time round, which I ended ended up really enjoying here thanks to the rotating costs that made doing each one of them an experience that required thought, as I like how they push you to fight battles in a way that you might not usually with characters you wouldn't normally be using. These newer, refreshed parts of the game mostly take advantage of what was already an enjoyable turn-based system, and with more opportunities to use it, such as new training features and new things like trial chests that again play with the idea of adding rules to combat to gain special rewards, it was fun to be able to play with things in new ways and enjoy how well all the systems work together. I was also impressed with how, despite the fact this new entry is based largely away from the school, it still manages to keep a very similar game flow. This is mostly thanks to how chapters play out, having a big introduction, getting to a hub town, moving into some side quests and a main one, then bonding events and extras that keep everything feeling familiar, with plenty of time for the main story, and of course plenty of ways to pad things out in between, both in terms of game length and in terms of getting to know the world as in depth as you could ever want to. It even encourages you to explore more of the romances between characters and new events, and aside from trying to pick your best girl, all these events showed a new side of characters I already liked, and despite the fact I'm pretty team Elisa, I was able to see a softer side of some of the tougher female characters too, so even if you're not interested in pairing characters up, I'd say it's definitely worth a look to learn more about this lovable and interesting cast. While this is another element that is based off features from the Lost games, small new additions like this make everything feel fresh enough to make the fact that you're visiting some locations from the Lost one feel less repetitive, as it's always interesting to see how everything has affected the NPCs and the new kinds of troubles they're facing that can be explored through quests. And while I knew there was going to be a lot to see in this game, there's plenty I missed by mostly doing the main story route, but I like knowing that I could enrich my Cold Steel 4 experience even more if I go back and do more side content. The fact that there's always another layer of story to find through books and conversations is what I think I'm learning is the main appeal of the Trails series, and with the characters you use in its gameplay being heavily involved in everything going on, I really love how well the gameplay sets the stage for the story while still being enjoyable itself, and whether it's in this game again or another from the series, I'm looking forward to whenever the next time is I can bond and quest to learn more about this incredibly rich world. Because of my glowing feelings about Trails of Cold Steel 4 after its true ending blew me away, and how my slow experience with it ended up having everything hit me hard at the end, I find it difficult to give negatives about this game because despite the fact there were little things here and there that distracted me in my experience at times, they're not something that even crosses my mind that much now, and I probably wouldn't even remember them if it wasn't for my notes. Aside from the slow pacing that always pays off, I guess I could mention a few things I noted down that weren't so positive. Some voice actor changes such as Laura's were off-putting at the start, although I eventually got used to her voice and feel the voice performance of other characters made up for it. Some lines in the script land a little awkwardly translation-wise, although there's plenty of great character banter too, and the game feels extremely similar in visuals and gameplay to The Lost, and also like The Lost one, it still feels like it creeps towards the end at times, but as I said, how impactful that makes the ending makes it feel worth it yet again, and I think the consistencies in visuals and system actually makes it easy to jump back in and focus solely on the narrative. For every negative, there are so many positives, so unless these were deal breakers for you in previous entries, I don't really think there'll be that much of an issue here for most players. I am of course looking forward to seeing the new engine that's been promised in future Trails games, but things work well enough here, so if you love the series for the story, I wouldn't worry much about any shortcomings, as they really didn't eclipse any parts of the unfolding narrative for me. With those things out of the way, this is a game I could absolutely see myself coming back to at some point, hopefully after having played the older ones to have a new playthrough with this one hit even harder. I would love to go back and play more quests, find more trial chests, and even just talk to more NPCs, because the amount of world building in this game makes me want to learn more about its citizens, as I think many of them have their own stories to tell. Another playthrough would be quite the undertaking though, so I'd prefer to come back with more knowledge when I do. But if you're a more experienced Trails fan, I imagine you'll find plenty to keep busy with, and to make having put all those hours into the older ones feel rewarded. It really is impressive how much there is to learn about this world, so for now I'm excited to learn more from other games, and I'm very thankful that Cold Steel 4 could once again give me a love of these characters and a big push to do it someday. If you're continuing your Trails journey from the last one, or you're a longtime Trails fan, Trails of Cold Steel 4 is a must-play for those invested in this story and world, and the way it adds to this already immense universe makes it a great end to the Erebonian arc of this story and the many threads that are linked to it. Its new quests and bonding events let you really understand the world on a deep level before the finale, and despite the huge runtime, the way it leads up to that big conclusion is always so worth it, and I can't stress how much this game and series is a must-play for fans of story-driven JRPGs. It was already a pleasure getting to know Trails of Cold Steel 3 last year, and I'm glad that playing that could let me enjoy this conclusion to the Cold Steel series. And while I don't know which part of the series I'll play next, I can't deny how much this deep and multifaceted world has solidified my interest in the series, especially thanks to this exciting final entry to the Cold Steel arc. I hope Trails fans enjoyed this experience as much, if not more than I did as a newer fan, and I hope people continue to discover this series, as I'm truly impressed with its rich world, and I'm glad that this finale could be a beautiful end to this part of the series, and can't wait to see what's next for the world of Trails. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if you played Trails of Cold Steel 4, and if you did, what did you think of it? You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Links to those will be in the description below, and until next time, thank you, bye!